Many people did, and thanks to God, this helped.
Such a good person to have done all that hard work.
Corinne?
And I want to thank you, and I want to thank all the other people as well who did that. Now, I have this belief that politicians listen to people because politicians always like to be popular, and politicians always like to be justified in their actions. And so I think that the only way that, well, I think that the only way we can end the war in Ukraine, because it does seem to be an awful lot of them meeting and not getting any results. But this time, let's hope there will be results, is that we the people, that's everybody listening, that's you, me, everybody listening, write to world leaders, and especially to President Biden, President Zelensky, and President Vladimir Putin, and our own presidents and leaders of our own countries, and say, please, we care about this war and we'd like to see it end. And just ask nicely, could you help bring about talks, peace talks, and then say thank you. Anyway, that's why I phoned in. It's just, I thought, if we could do, if all of us made a change and got Gonzalo Lira, we could do this. Yes. And if we don't ask, we don't get.
Faith can move mountains, and God helps those that help themselves. Corinne, thanks. Terrific call from Peterborough. Ibrar is on the line, again from England, in Birmingham. Go ahead, Ibrar.
Thank you very much, George. I appreciate giving me some time to speak. Actually, George, we've got some history. We've crossed paths in the past at the University of Birmingham, if you remember, many years ago, with the Friends of Palestine. You came in 2009, I believe, 2009-10. I was with you, and I almost joined the Gaza flotilla. So it's a long time ago, but we crossed paths in the past. But today, I would like to just
I remember the meeting very clearly, Ibrar. It was quite
an interesting day.
Quite a tricky wicket.
Indeed. I'm glad you got away with the not out. Let's just say that. So, George, what it is...
Go ahead, Ibra.
I've come back to university after 8 years. I'm doing a PhD at the moment. And so, naturally, I've become re-embroiled within the students. And so, as I'm a slightly mature student, 2 weeks ago, when Imran Khan called on the people to come together, we in Birmingham and the Midlands felt actually we couldn't sit back, even though we were comfortable in one way. We're able to enjoy a good life in the UK, thanks to the UK government for giving us many freedoms. But we as British Pakistanis and young people felt we needed to take a stand. So we set up something called the Pakistan Student Alliance in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Pakistan, mainly in support of Imran Khan, but actually more in support of good governance and focusing on those kind of ideals like equality and justice. Because we feel actually it's not a case of saying party A is bad or party B is bad. People can see that, but it's more a case of empowering the young people, educating the young people, so that actually the message that Imran Khan wants to portray gets across, which is the key thing, I think. So we had a protest.
I agree with you entirely. This is about... Yeah, go on.
Sorry, just to get to my point. Today we held our very first protest, a Midlands Pakistan Student Alliance protest, which actually is the first of its kind for any Pakistani students in the UK. And so we just wanted to come onto your show and to say, you know, we young people and we British people understand what's happening abroad. We can see corruption when it's black and white in front of you. We can see what good governance looks like coming from the West. And actually, we know what fairness and equality is. So please don't put someone in front of us as a new leader like Shabazz Sharif.
I promise you...
And actually
Yeah, I promise you I will convey that to Prime Minister Imran Khan when he finally joins us, and well done for that activity. I myself will be speaking in Birmingham soon. I'm speaking in Oxford on Monday, but I hope a public meeting is now being organised in Birmingham in the Hall Green part of Birmingham, and so I might meet you there, Ibrar. If you are free, do come along and make yourself known to me. The issue of good governance is at the heart of it. Pakistan has had good governance under Imran Khan, certainly by comparison with the rogues gallery that went before. And that rogues gallery is now back. As I said, the cabinet looks like the front page of the Police Gazette. It's like a wanted poster. Instead, it's a poster of the government of Pakistan. And no free people will put up with that. Pakistanis are not beggars. They are not slaves. They are hard-working and intelligent people who have now the taste for democracy. And they will not allow it to be stolen from them. Of that, I am very sure indeed. And it looks like on the poll that overwhelmingly people agree with me. The previous record votes on one of our polls was 10,000. This one so far has 33,500 votes. Will Imran Khan return as Pakistan Prime Minister? A, yes, 95%, that's on Twitter. Yes, 95% on YouTube, and on Telegram, yes, 83%. A little more skeptical on the Telegram channel. No, 5% on Twitter. No, 5% on YouTube. No, 17% on Telegram. If you're one of those that voted no on Telegram or anywhere else, do call the show, because I'd like you to hear your reasoning. If you're in the United Kingdom, it's 08081 965522. If you're in the United States, it's +1 844 944 3344. You can email the show anytime at onair@moats.tv. I'll keep on taking calls, but I may have to cut callers off quickly if a certain Imran Khan comes on the line. I'm sure you'll understand. Hussein is in Italy. Go ahead, Hussein.
Hello, George. First of all, I want to say that I'm a huge fan of yours. Been following your shows and talks for a long time. And thank you for the opportunity. This is actually my first time calling on any TV show or live to a live audience.
Okay.
So first of all,
just take your time. Take your time.
Yeah, sure. All right. So we here in Italy, my family, we have been supporting Imran Khan for since 2010 or so, since he became a little bit more apparent on the Pakistani politics. And let me tell you, I've seen a lot of people converting from other corrupt parties to Imran Khan for guidance. And we are saddened for what has happened in Pakistan in the last month or so. The way the courts were open at 12 at the night, and the way all the institutions have turned against Imran Khan, it has saddened all us Pakistanis living abroad. And I just want to convey this message that we stand with Imran Khan all the way, and we will support him till the end, till he comes back with a 2/3 majority, and and bring change for good in Pakistan. That's my message to my Pakistan.
Well, I'll tell him that message. I'll tell him that message from Italy, Hussein. Thank you for it. Very moving indeed it was. You've touched on what is a political difference I have with Imran Khan. He continues to exalt some at least of the institutions which are in fact the fundamental problem in Pakistan. I've been involved in Pakistani politics for too long not to know and acknowledge them. And I'm going to call a spade a spade. I appreciate it's different if you're in politics in Pakistan, but you tune in here to this show to hear what I think is the truth. And what I think is the truth is that Pakistan's much vaunted institutions are rotten to the core, starting with the Chief of Army Staff. This coup could not have happened without his green light, and neither any of the other coups. I've lost track of them. When I became involved in Pakistani affairs, Zia-ul-Haq had just hanged the elected leader of Pakistan, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. I have been involved since then, and the army have time after time after time after time negated or actually rigged the outcome of parliamentary elections. And the courts, to me, I'm sorry, are a joke. They are like a spoof, Terry Thomas version of 1930s, 1940s England. We're not like that anymore. We might even be worse than that now. But we're not like that anymore, and for a reason. This window dressing of the rule of law, this window dressing of military subordination to the political leadership of the country is nonsense. It isn't true. And unless it's changed, then Pakistani leaders, however much support they have in the country, will continue to be disposed of. And moreover, like the Egyptian army, the top brass of the Pakistan army is bought and paid for by the United States of America. Imran Khan was disposed of just like that on a word from the United States of America. And the army wheeled into action, the Chief of Army Staff wheeled into action. Now he takes off his uniform, I think in the autumn, October or November of this year. If he doesn't want to be remembered in infamy, he'll make sure that a general election is held before then. Let me take a quick break and I'll be right back. Peter says the Afghan people have lost, George. I thought you were better than this, to be honest. Give me a call, Peter. Tell me what you mean. And Oliver says, for some reason, George was on the jihadist side when it came to Yugoslavia. And that's the reason I will never trust him. I fought against the war on Yugoslavia with all my breath and all my heart. Me and Tony Benn and Jeremy Corbyn and others were practically the only people in this country opposing the war on Yugoslavia, the destruction of Yugoslavia. How dare you, you imbecile? If you have any guts, you'll pick up the phone right now and call this show and justify that utter slander. Really. And Yoda says, love the show, best entertainment and education on the airwaves.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff. Liftoff. 30 minutes after the hour.
We need to acclimatise the public for the introduction of extraterrestrials, because come to the conclusion at this point, if they're going to come, they are going to come soon.
Back in the late 60s and early 70s, they actually saw the saucer land in front of them or pass by in New York or go overhead.
It went in front of my eyes up
and turned into what looked like a star way up in the sky.
They said the same line that you just made, and it was amazing. It is an awful waste of space if we are all that there is.
All that there is. Exactly. Have you ever seen any of these phenomena?
I have seen energy entities. One looked like a massive jellyfish. The other one looked like a massive centipede.
Well, you had me up to that point. Now I just think you're stark raving mad.
You are listening to the mother of all talk shows with George Galloway.
You're watching the mother of all talk shows, and we're still waiting for Prime Minister Imran Khan. I see that Mr. Shabazz from PTI has tweeted in the last few minutes that there was no scheduled appointment with me this evening. Unfortunately, Dr. Shabazz, I have all the correspondence. I have the booking. Don't make me publish it. Get Imran Khan on the line, please. It'll only take him 10 minutes, and it will be worth the trouble. He says that they'll rearrange something, but in the words of Tom Hagen, I never asked for a second interview when the first one has been declined. Will Imran Khan return as Pakistan Prime Minister? A, yes. B, no. There's a tremendous number of people voting on this, Mr. Shabazz Gill. Take a look at the voting. Mahmoud is in China. Let me hear from him. Mahmoud in China, welcome.
Hello, sir. It's
Hi
good
there.
to see you talking about Imran Khan. I never imagined that he would be this much famous. Hello?
Well, I've known him for a very long time. He wasn't politically famous when I first met him. Of course, as a sporting hero, he was enormously iconic. But he has patiently, tenaciously, with great courage, built a massive political movement in Pakistan and amongst the diaspora all over the world. And you're in China, and I'm going to infer that you're a part of it.
Okay, I just wanted to say something. I don't know if I heard it wrong. You said he was removed because he said absolutely not on the issue of Russia. But it wasn't that. It was because he said absolutely not when a journalist asked him to if you will provide air bases to USA. To help them with Afghanistan. So he said absolutely not.
He was just, of course. But he also said absolutely not to the sanctions on Russia. In fact, he made a very beneficial deal for the people of Pakistan, for Russian gas and for Russian wheat. And the United States cannot tolerate China with close relations, super close, with China and now with Russia at the same time, for the reasons of air bases, for the reasons of sanctions, for the reasons of Afghanistan, and the use of Pakistan once again as a launch pad for attacks on Afghanistan. It's because Imran said absolutely not on these things that he has been overthrown. Go ahead.
Okay, so now my question is, a lot of people in Pakistan, they don't believe on this change of government that it happened. It is done from USA, you know. So what do you think of this? Like, do you know about the letter that he received and stuff like that? Do you think it's true and he was removed just because of the pressure from
I absolutely think it's true. Look, I've known many coups, not just in Pakistan, but I suppose more of them in Pakistan than anywhere else. I know what a coup looks like. I know what a coup smells like and sounds like, and I know what a military-backed coup looks like and smells like, and if it walks like a duck, looks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. And this is a duck, a regime change ordered by the United States executed through the Chief of Army Staff and utilizing the tools, the stooges of the discredited political parties. That's my view. Before I go to Kaiser in Glasgow, Ramin Shazad, thanks for an informative show, George. Just wanted to say one thing. As a Pakistani, I'm happy to see we're now united as a nation. Imran Khan has made us forget all our differences. This imported government underestimated the power of Pakistanis. They did not predict that we could be this strong, and it's now time to show our strength. Our response to this illegitimate regime change is loud and clear from the Lahore Jalsa. We are not beggars, and we will not accept an imported government. And Tariq Ahmad says, what's UK and EU take on the regime change? Silence was golden, Tariq. Syed says, how does Imran Khan expect to come back when almost everyone in the country, including the establishment, judiciary and election committee, is against him? Well, everyone except all the millions on the street, Syed. Let's go to Kaza in Glasgow. Go ahead, Kaza.
Hi, George. How you doing?
Good, brother. Nice
George,
to hear from you. What would you like to say?
Yes.
Yes.
George, I'm listening to you for a number of years in this country, in UK. Well, the pleasure to have talking to you right now. Right. Obviously, Imran Khan is not there. And I'll leave the message with you.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, of course. Right. If he comes in and if I have enough time for you to put my message through, the first message I have to say to him is loud and clear, is number 4 gate in Pakistan have to be closed. If not closed, if without Imran Khan's permission, we are going through as a public, as the innocent Pakistanis, because we all feel wounded and hurt. And the second one is we had a big project in Pakistan, including myself, a building 500 rooms in Gilgit-Baltistan. And I put that on hold. And I will not spend, or none of my colleagues or businessmen people in this country will not send a £1 into the country until Imran Khan is back. And the third,
well, I think that's. I mean, if I had any money, Kaza, I certainly wouldn't be investing it to a country run by Shahbaz Sharif, would you?
Of course not. Of course not. You know, believe me, George, we are Muslim League supporters from my dad to my granddad. My dad spent 3 years in a prison for Nawaz Sharif. Okay, so that's all changes. Like somebody just says to you, Imran Khan, bring the politics into the tables in the hotel rooms, into the living rooms. It's not a public politics in the parliaments anymore. And we will decide, we will be the Supreme Court, we will be the High Commissioner, we will be the Election Commissioner, whoever they are. If this is not sorted, we are going through their doors without Imran Khan's permission. That's where we're standing right now.
Well, that's very powerful talk, Kazar. If we get Imran, I'll certainly convey that to him. We don't want any violence, of course. What we want is mass political power. You know, when you can gather people in the millions, and when that becomes the tens of millions, that's a human tide that will sweep all before it. And not a blow needs to be struck. Not a window needs to be broken. I'll be back for the second hour right after this break with, I hope, Prime Minister Imran Khan. Keep your fingers crossed. news.
Voting has just closed in the French presidential election, with exit polls predicting a shock result. And I can tell you that the far-right Marine Le Pen has been narrowly defeated by incumbent Emmanuel Macron. French voters were faced with two very different visions for their country during Sunday's presidential runoff election, as the centrist President Macron sought to fend off a challenge from Le Pen. Macron pitched a vision of a globalised France at the head of a strong European Union. Le Pen put forward an economical, nationalist, more inward-looking platform that would represent a fundamental shift from the direction France has since taken since the Second World War. This was a rematch of the 2017 contest where Macron bested Le Pen by nearly 2-1. This one is predicted to be much closer. Macron's attempt at diplomacy over the war in Ukraine took him away from the campaign trail, while Le Pen was forced to backtrack on her previous support for President Vladimir Putin. She has long been a vocal admirer of the Russian president, even visiting him during her 2017 campaign. Took out a loan from a Czech. Discussing issues like the cost of living crisis. The SNP's Westminster leader Ian Blackford also said Mr Johnson now had no moral authority to lead after being fined for COVID-breaking laws. Last week, Mr Johnson, along with his wife Carrie and Chancellor Rishi Sunak, were fined by police for attending a birthday party thrown in his honour in the Cabinet Room in June 2020. Labour is calling for an emergency budget in Britain to bring forward and deplore the
mother of all talk shows. Join us at the College of Knowledge, where there are no tuition fees.
A staggering 43,100 people have voted on our poll. Will Imran Khan return as Pakistan Prime Minister? Hold that result. 48,000 people have voted on our poll. Will Imran Khan return as Pakistan Prime Minister? And it's bad news for the imported government. On Twitter, A, yes, 95%. B, no, 5%. On YouTube, yes, 95%. No, 5%. And on Telegram, only a little less. Yes, 83%. No, 17%. Get voting on that poll. No news from Islamabad, from the PTI, with whom we solemnly and carefully booked Imran Khan for tonight's show. Please don't try to imply otherwise. If there's been a mistake, man up to it. Don't try to divert the blame to us. Please, I ask with all respect. We love Imran Khan. We're trying to help Imran Khan. We're trying to be a platform that can inform people in Western countries exactly what happened in Pakistan, because they're certainly not going to learn it from the BBC or Sky or ITV or Channel 4 or the Daily Telegraph or the London Times. This is not just the only, but by far and away the biggest platform that Prime Minister Imran Khan could have appeared on in the English-speaking world, and there's still time for him to do that. Before I go to our next guest and switch gear a little, I need to encourage you again to make a donation. And I want to stress this point. I don't want a big donation. I really don't. I want you to give £1 or $1, even less than £1, to keep the mother of all talk shows going. We already lost the midweek extra, replaced by, from my living room, the Galloway show, free to air, no budget television. We lost the Moats extra for financial reasons. Don't make us lose the mother of all talk shows. Think where you'd be on a Sunday night if we were not here. Think how bereft of a different point of view you would be. So it is coming up on the screen. It is ever easier. Next week it'll be even easier. You can actually text your donation in from your phone. Now there's, I think, 10 tickets left for the Oxford showing of my film Killing Kelly in Oxford Town Hall tomorrow night. There it is, Oxford Town Hall, 7 p.m. Everybody in Oxford knows where the town hall is. It's a very grand building indeed, and also a building in which I've had some of my very best public meetings. So I think there's about 10 seats left. Please make sure you get them. Snap them up between now and tomorrow. My favourite, my bonnie lies over the ocean. It's Caleb Maupin, my former colleague and the founder and director of the Center for Political Innovation in the United States. He's basically seeking to build a party, a patriotic and socialist party in the United States of America. And I pray to God that he succeeds. Caleb, welcome to the show. It must be even more difficult in the United States in these heightened days of war fervor than it is here in Britain. But I've got to tell you, I think the Ukraine mania has begun to wear a bit thin on this side of the ocean. How goes it over on your side?
Oh, we're observing exactly the same thing. Just right now as we speak, we have an outreach team at the White House in Washington, D.C., handing out leaflets. Russia is not our enemy. Wall Street is. We've been doing that in New York City and around the country, and we are getting a very positive reaction from people. At the beginning, sure, there was this surge of emotions from mainstream media, but that's starting to break. People are really sick of it on some level, and a lot of people are watching American news and saying, This looks an awful lot like propaganda. You know, every Russian is portrayed as a vicious, evil murderer. Every Ukrainian, even though some of them are Nazis and they have an official Nazi division, every Ukrainian is portrayed as a heroic fighter. American news is so obviously war propaganda at this point. A lot of people are sick of it and aren't buying it and are open to hearing another side. And that's why we've seen the big crackdown on voices like RT, on YouTube channels, and others who are daring to show the other side, because people are hungry for it. People are very, very hungry for it.
Yeah, I was going to turn to that latter issue, and I will, but let me look at, if you like, the corollary of that. The media, which has not been cracked down upon, is cracking up under the pressure of mass boycott. CNN Plus is to close when its audience reached 10,000 in the whole world. 10,000. And it's now closed down. The corollary is also true, isn't it? That it's not just that news that people might find more trustworthy cannot be found, but the official news nobody wants to watch.
Sure. I mean, Netflix is also losing subscribers. Elon Musk has become kind of a hero on social media because he's beating the drum about how obnoxious the pounding of woke ideology into the heads of the masses, whether it's from CNN, whether it's from Netflix, whether it's from the social media giants, is becoming. Average Americans are sick of this, and they're looking at the fact that the gas prices are rising. They're looking at the cost of food, and they're getting sick and tired of it. And, you know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of working class young people in the United States who bought into it. And during the pandemic, they went out and they protested and they rioted and they raged against racism and stood up against the police state. But now they're looking at their lives and saying, okay, a lot of windows were broken. Okay, a lot of anger has been made. A lot of social media posts have gone viral. But have our lives gotten any better? Have things really improved for American working families? And a lot of working people in the United States, a lot of working class youth are saying, no, they haven't really gotten better. And when it really gets down to it, wokeism is a false messiah. It's coming in and promising to rejuvenate the country, to offer redemption. If you just say all the right buzzwords and all the key phrases, you know, the curse hanging over U.S. society from its foundations of slavery and genocide of the Native Americans will somehow be lifted. But it's a false messiah, they're realizing, because at the end of the day, the problem is economic. The problem is the economic foundations, capitalism, and a system of production organized for profit. And you're not going to get rid of that with buzzwords. And you're not going to get rid of that with workshops, you know, where people talk about their emotions and feelings. You're going to have to address the economic foundations of the problem. And when it gets down to it, our leaders here in the United States do not care about the working class. They don't care about working families. Their only concern is enriching the profits of huge multinational corporations. And they are waging economic warfare around the world in the form of sanctions. They've escalated this Ukraine crisis, taking us to the brink of World War III. They don't care about the consequences for working people here or around the world.
thanks to my good friend Simon. You can listen to my audiobook on the 1970s. Just go to patreon.com/George Galloway. And finally, my sequel to my novel Queensway has arrived. It's called Black Lake, and it's a Queensway novel. It is imagining that we had failed to stop Hitler crossing the channel, that we were betrayed instead of saved by our heroes who resisted Nazi invasion in 1940 and 41. And it supposes that some of our ruling class would have, as they did in every other occupied European country, defect to the enemy and try to sell them goods and services in the British way. But the other sections of the ruling class and the vast majority of the working class, led by its socialist wing and its trade union wing, took up arms against the Nazi occupier of Britain. I think it's a cracking story, but then I wrote it. So I hope that you will order it. You can get it from my shop. Don't forget to donate. I don't know if it's coming up on the screen, but we need to pay for this show before the end of it or shortly after it. So please, don't delay. Make a donation now or right after the show. A small donation, $1, £1. That's all I need from you. Let's go to line 1, where Simon in London awaits. Simon, welcome to the show.
How are you doing, George? You okay?